Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dalton Ross, Executive Editor-at-Large of Entertainment Weekly magazine and host of EW Live on SiriusXM. Before we get going, I want to let you know that while New York Comic-Con has gone virtual, you can still grab a rad 2020 NYCC badge collection featuring, yes, AMC's The Walking Dead. So make sure to score those because all profits go to the First Responders Children's Foundation, which is very, very cool. Hit the link in the video description below to go check them out. Okay, I am positively thrilled to be here with you today as part of the first ever Walking Dead Showrunners Summit at New York Comic-Con. No actors allowed. Rita's tried to get in there. We said, nice try, buddy. Julia Ormond pleaded with us. We told her, go spend some time with your Emmy. Coleman Domingo attempted to bribe us with an invitation to a bottomless brunch. That one was actually hard to turn down. I got to be honest, that sounds pretty sweet. But no, it's just us. And by us, I'm happy to introduce our esteemed panel. We have showrunner of The Walking Dead, Angela Kang, with us. There she is. We have showrunner of Fear the Walking Dead, Andrew Chambliss. We have showrunner of Fear the Walking Dead, Ian Goldberg. We have showrunner of Walking Dead World Beyond, Matt Negrete. And what is Scott Gimple doing here? Negrete, did you invite him? Like, what is this you're doing?
I said no, do not let him pass the waiting room. I told people. They didn't listen.
Norman shoved me in.
It is Walking Dead Chief Content Officer, the big boss man, Scott Millhouse Gimple, everyone, is here as well. There he is. Well done. I'm really excited to have you guys here together, talk about sort of some of your writers' rooms, sort of the way the Walking Dead universe has started to cross-pollinate a little more. Have you guys cross-pollinate? Talk about your own shows, maybe talk about some of the other shows. The one thing you guys all have in common is that you do all work closely with Mr. Gimple, and I want to ask about that because I can never quite nail Scott and his taste down. Like, we talk Star Wars all the time, and I still don't understand how he could like Solo as much as he did. But maybe he's just a contrarian. I don't know. I can't figure it out. But like, what is it like for you guys when you're working with Scott? You're pitching story ideas for Scott. Give us a little window into that, Angela. I'll start with you.
First of all, I'll say that Scott is a contrarian. Anybody that has known Scott for some length of time will know that he will have like a very strong opinion about, certain pop culture things. So he'll come in with a hot take on a movie that is completely the opposite of like anybody else, and he will defend it to the death. And sometimes you're not sure if he's being serious or if he's just kind of messing with you a little bit, but that's like one of the delightful things about Scott. I don't know. Scott and I have worked together a long time now. We both came into the Walking Dead staff the same year. So we worked together on staff. Like, I always loved working with Scott. Like, he's always had such passion and vision and would just fight for ideas so hard. Like, sometimes to the point where I was like, oh man, like, it's making me nervous. You're going at this one more time. But like, a lot of those ideas ended up being some of the most memorable things in the show. So like, that's something I really admire about Scott. And then it's like, he took over the show, and I feel like we always had a great working relationship. And now in his new role, I feel like whenever I'm like, Scott, I need your help with something, he's like right there and has my back. And then other times it's like, he just gives me space, and that's great. So, I really enjoy it. I enjoy the collaboration and the fights about things such as the Star Wars.
Our Venn diagram goes like this, though.
It does. There's a lot of cross in the Venn diagram.
Andrew and Ian. Andrew, what's it like for you guys working with Scott? How's that process work?
How did this turn into this is your life? I'm so uncomfortable right now.
Welcome to the Scott Gimple roast.
Oh my God. Is Dennis Leary coming out?
I think the thing that makes kind of the collaboration with Scott so kind of productive is that even if he doesn't totally agree with maybe an idea we have, he understands what it is that we really like about it, or that what we value in it. And then he's very good at finding another way to that idea that maybe solves some of the narrative issues or some of the kind of universe issues. And I think that's the thing, is like we always can find the thing that we're on the same page about and then kind of build out from there.
I think the other thing too is, and we learned this early on coming in, is you almost need to have a glossary of Gimpleisms when you read his notes in scripts, because he has a very particular way of saying things. Like he'll never, if he doesn't like something, he won't say, I don't know, but he'll just say, this is tricky. And I'm like, okay, he doesn't like it. Or here's a thinger.
Yeah, well.
Or here's the pickle. Here's the pickle. We're like, oh no, here's the problem.
This is already the best Walking Dead panel ever.
Yeah.
How did this happen, man?
There's also a little, also, Chambliss, there's a little bit of the tell, but I think it's a common tell, so I don't think I'm telling people that. It just the voice of the register goes up a little higher. You're not sure about something.
Denise Hoot can get that tone perfectly.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing, just in the positive thing, although we say all this out of love, is that Scott, I think, cares about this universe more than anyone else who works on it. So when he gives a note, you know, and if it's something that we don't necessarily agree with, we really hear him out, because we know it comes from a place that's not just like, no, I think I have a better idea. It's because he really wants to, at least in the experience Ian and I have had, it always want to tell the best version of the story. So, you know, that's why I think we always take them so seriously. And then also to what Angela said is, you know, he's also very good at saying, like, you know, I'm here to help and guide you guys, but, you know, this is your story to tell. So, you know, have the space you need to do it.
Right.
So Scott, I'm curious because, you know, you have these people, these three different writers' rooms, all working on story. And so what happens if, do you ever have to shut down an idea from one show because, you know, it might overlap or be too similar to something planned on another one? Like if Matt comes up to you and says, hey, I've got a great idea for World Beyond, but you know that Andrew and Ian might be working on something not identical, but a little similar on Fear. As you're looking at all the different pictures, how often do you have to navigate that?
You know, it doesn't come up all that much. I think one thing that actually comes up maybe a little more, and it's Walking Dead has less of a concern about it, is more the Simpsons did it of it all. Like, you know, The Walking Dead's been around a long time. So sometimes it's less the current stories that are in sort of competition, but just the 10 years of Walking Dead, the 16 episodes a year, we can get close to things in the past. There have been some similar things even on the shows currently, but the shows are so different. And those things that occurred were in such different directions that it seemed silly not to do. In general, really try to let the shows tell the stories that they're telling. It's you know, if they contradict each other or something like that, if they paint another show into a corner, narratively, that's tricky. But luckily, that really hasn't happened much. I'm sorry to bum you out, Dalton.
No, it doesn't. It's just
you wanted the blood sport of it all.
Yeah.
I know.
Stick them in the ring, put them in the octagon, just let them battle it out. As you guys, you know, work on your own shows and you look at the other shows, has there ever been something, and Matt, we'll start with you, something from one of the other shows where you thought, oh man, that was cool. I wish we'd thought of that, or I wish we could have done that. Hit me up with something from one of the other shows as you're, you know, putting together World Beyond that really impressed you.
Oh man, that's a good question. You know, I'll say, because I worked on, you know, Walking Dead with Scott and Angela since season 4. So for me, it was always just about like doing something that kind of felt like different and distinct, but specifically, like I was kind of like, I think the biggest thing that I ran into, you know, in creating that first season or co-creating it with Scott was just the idea of we wanted it to feel different, and so there was a lot of that. That kind of vibe of like, we did do that on Walking Dead. And, you know, if I'm to be bummed about anything, it's just like, I loved the Whisperer War stuff last season on Walking Dead, and the idea of people walking around, wearing masks. And, I worked with, that storyline a little bit season 9, but to kind of see that play out in all of the scope and with Beta and everything, and Samantha Morton, who's amazing. I was like a little jealous watching season, but it was great to watch it as a fan, having worked on that show for so long. So, yeah, I would say anything that had to do with the Whisperers. I was just a little part of me was jealous that I wasn't still on there working that storyline along.
Angela, what about for you as you watch Fear or what they're doing on World Beyond? Yet something that's just sort of really impressed you or you've really enjoyed from one of those shows?
I really enjoy with the other shows. I think tonally they achieve stuff that's different. And I always am impressed with the visuals I've seen from both shows. Like whenever I look at any scenes or trailers, I'm like, oh, they're so pretty. And our show's pretty too, but it's just sort of like a look that we've carried for a while. And so I feel like they've been able to achieve some really different things. And I also love that the shows have these sort of like really intimate cast moments a lot, just because there's smaller casts on both shows. And so we've got like the cast of thousands, which I love. I love that we have this big ensemble. There's so many different people, like all those actors are so lovely. But it's cool to see like when there's storytelling with like, here's something that is coming up that's like, it's like 2 people like really locked in with each other. Like we're doing a little bit of that in some episodes we have coming up, and it's so refreshing. So I feel like that's something that the other shows do like really well, is like that kind of intimacy of a smaller group.
Yeah, just to chime in on that, I remember when you guys were first putting out scripts for season 4 of Fear, and just opening up the scripts to read, because I was so curious, and seeing the cast list, and there were like 4 people listed for that episode. And there was that feeling of jealousy too, of just like 4 people for the whole episode. Because, I think on Walking Dead, we've had cast lists that are definitely the full page and even maybe onto a second page. It's
easily.
huge. Yeah.
It's gotten bigger.
It's gotten bigger. But it's like we have 20 series regulars plus like an entire cast of just kind of like they're not series regulars, but they're recurring guest stars that have kind of like meaty roles. And so like 4 is, oh wow, 4 people, a story with 4 people.
Man.
Like it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And Andrew and Ian, well, we'll start with you, Andrew. What's something on one of the other shows that really impressed you or you really liked?
Yeah, I remember it was the opening of season 10, just that satellite, the image of the satellite crashing. And I can remember we all went to the season 10 premiere, and it was at Man's Chinese Theater, and it was kind of this big event. And I remember sitting there, I think next to Ian, and when that came on, I was like, oh my God, like I wish we had done that, because it was just so cool. Like you're so used to living in this world that's like on the ground in the woods, and and then to be reminded of kind of this lost world that still exists and see that come crashing down was such a cool kind of way to enter that story for the season.
What about for you, Ian?
And as I'm thinking about this, we're Andrew and I are a bit spoiled in the sense that we both came into Fear as huge fans of Walking Dead and of the characters on Walking Dead, which are just so iconic and have such history and have gone through so many evolutions. And we were lucky enough that we actually got to merge the worlds of Fear and bring a character like Morgan over from The Walking Dead, and now Dwight, and this season we'll bring Sherry. So we've, I guess, got to have our cake and eat it too a little bit, where we get to continue to tell these stories of characters that started on The Walking Dead and continue to evolve them while also doing it with the characters from Fear. So it just feel very, very lucky that we got to be some of the people that cross-pollinated the universe.
Well, that's a perfect segue, actually, because I want to play a little game with you guys. And the game is called Steal a Character from Another Walking Dead Show.
Already did it.
I know. So you guys have had a little experience in this matter. We're going to let you guys do it again. But if you could basically pick any character from any show, another show, to import to your own, whom would it be and why? And Matt, we'll start with you. When you went over from Walking Dead to World Beyond, if Scott had said to you, you know what, bring any character you want with you, we'll find a way to make it work somehow. Who do you want? Who do you want stolen, and why? Or you can steal someone with fear. Lord knows Ian and Andrew have had no problem stealing from you in the past. So it can be payback to them. Who do you want to take?
Oh boy. You know what's funny is like this makes no sense whatsoever. So this is not about story value at all. It's just like I would love to have Alpha just to somehow interface with the character of Elizabeth, partly because I would love to see those two actors together. And the idea that like there's these two characters that have in a way similar philosophies, and that like they each have a certain structure and order to how they feel like they need to exist in the world. But at the same time, Elizabeth is this character who it's all about civilization for her, which is the thing that Alpha is against. So I think these two like women would have like just an interesting kind of coffee together if that were ever happen, where it's just like they would have this respect for each other, but yet total disrespect for the things that they hold most valuable to them. But story-wise, I don't know where we would go with that, but I would just love to write that scene. Yeah, my one-act play episode.
I'd love to watch that scene.
Angela, what about you? If you could take one character from one of the other shows.
I mean, well, first of all, I would just steal back Morgan. Oh my gosh. I mean, I think I would really love is it June that's Jenna's character? Yeah. Like I think her, and then Elizabeth, but like I think like those strong women, I think I would love to work with those actors, and I just think like they bring they're very dynamic, and it'd just be really fun to drop them in the middle of our world and have them interact with like Daryl and Negan and see them hold their own. So I don't know. I really admire those those strong female characters that are out there kind of kicking ass on those shows.
Andrew, not only is this not fair because Andrew and Ian have already taken 3 characters, but there's 2 of them.
Yeah.
There's 2 of them, so they're about to take 2
soon to be
more.
3. Yeah.
Dwight too.
I'm gonna say dog, so that
That's a good one.
could have a companion, and we're dying to do a Milo and Otis episode.
For real.
But we need Skidmark to have a friend to do it with. So that's my answer.
I'm gonna go with Negan from Walking Dead, just because I absolutely love the character, and I think Jeffrey is phenomenal. It's just been such a powerhouse and so many sort of different colors and evolutions there. And also Dwight has just when Dwight went through a great evolution toward the bright side in season 5, it would be interesting if his old pal Negan showed up on Fear. And then I would say from World Beyond, Andrew and I are immensely jealous that Matt, you get to play with so much CRM storytelling, because we loved getting to do that with Al and Isabel in season 5, and every time we tried to go much further than that, Scott protected it for World Beyond.
Not yours. Like on Walking Dead too, there are times where like, what if we? And be like, can't go there.
I know our writing staff got tired of us saying like, no, we can't do that.
Oh, man.
Don't even bring up the 3 rings.
Don't even
I love how like
territory.
like 5 minutes ago, I asked Scott, "Do you ever have to shut anything down from anyone?" He said, "No, never, not a problem." It's like, what is that?
Yeah. Okay. I'll take that. Fair play.
Scott, but like as we are talking about the cross-pollination between the shows, and as we are talking about the CRM, obviously, and World Beyond, look, you told me World Beyond is taking place in basically about the same time frame, at least with Walking Dead, and as we see that they're trying to make a quest towards New York, they're at least sort of heading east. I mean, is there a chance any of these characters that we've seen before on these shows could meet up at some point in some fashion?
There's absolutely a chance. And you know what happens with these questions. But
I'm waiting for the specific hedge. Like,
yeah. All about ambiguous hedges. I will say there's something we're working on that's kind of far afield that that has some crossover-y elements to it. That's about as hedgy as I can get, but there really is a chance. There's a far-flung story that I won't even say much about who's working on it because it would reveal some stuff, but there's plans. How about that? There's plans.
All right, fair enough.
Is that
fair
good?
enough. Yeah, that's good enough. Look, I want to talk about more plans. We know about that. It was announced the Walking Dead anthology series that's you're going to be working on. That's going to sort of take a look at different stories, and some of these stories may involve characters we've already seen, characters we've already lost. I'd love each of you guys to pitch a character backstory or gap filler from your Walking Dead show that you'd like to see on the anthology series. It could be a current character where you want to fill in some gaps. It could be a character who died along the way that you'd like to get another look at. And I will even get us started. I'm going to pitch one to Scott right now. Scott, Dr. Edwin Jenner.
Oh, yeah.
Blew up the CDC back at the end of season 1. I want to see him. I want to see dearly departed and zombified wife Candace back at the beginning when things went south. Your thoughts on that?
That sounds awesome.
Okay, it's done.
Just like to talk more. No, that's the sort of things that we're looking to do. I mean, full on. Not all of them will be like characters we knew.
Right.
Some of it will be brand new stuff, but yeah, that's exactly the sort of thing that we want to do.
All right, Angela, give me a pitch for the anthology series.
Oh my God. Well, I really want to see the Abraham, Rosita, Eugene on the road story. Like, I think that's super fun. I wouldn't mind seeing the cannibals origin story. How do those Terminants start eating people? Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question, though. I feel like there's so many different stories you could pull from. So.
Yeah, without a doubt. Matt, what do you think?
This is like an all-star writer's room here.
Mine, I can't get too specific on. I would love, there are 2 characters that have not yet appeared in World Beyond that I think have a very interesting backstory. And it seems like they've had quite a few adventures that have occurred leading up to when they appear later on in the series. So I would love, this is such an invasive question because I can't spoil anything, but they're like a pair in the apocalypse that I don't think we've seen before. So I think there would be some potentially madcap adventures that and
they show up as a pair, Matt. So just so we'll know when we see them, do they come as a pair or are they separate characters, separate stories?
I will say there's oh boy, that's a good question. I would say that they appear potentially separately, but yeah,
they have a
linkage happening. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Ian, let's go to you. Give me something you're going to pitch for the anthology series from Fear.
I'm going to go with Virginia, and I would very much like to see the beginnings of Virginia's empire building before she was Virginia the Great.
Like it. Good. We're getting those keys all together. It's a key factory. She worked in a key factory.
We have the teaser.
That's right. Yeah. Andrew, what about you?
All right, I've got 2.
Awesome.
From Fear, I would like to see the cosmonaut that Victor Strand spoke to over the radio, and see if he's still floating around in space. And then from The Walking Dead, I would love to see an Eastman Tales from The Walking Dead. So I'm just going to put that in your ear, Scott.
That's great.
No, this is a good season 1. Done and done.
Scott, you've got to write the Eastman one, though.
I want to talk to Mr. Lynch first, but yes. Yeah, he'd be game. We've talked a little bit about it. So.
Fear's still not here.
Yeah. Here wasn't here.
I'm not sure about the title, but we can workshop that.
Okay.
Puns always go to Matt.
Oh boy.
Listen, we know that Fear is recently going back into production. Walking Dead is gearing up going into production, and soon World Beyond is going to be there before you know it as well. Really curious, Angela, you and I already spoke kind of in terms of COVID, how you guys are handling on set, the precautions you're doing. I'm curious whether for you guys, is what we're going to see on screen impacted at all? You know what I mean? There's certain things and ways that you guys would film. Are there going to be any limitations? Are you guys going to have to be creative to sort of film in a different way or tell stories in a different way? How is all that going to work? Angela, start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big difference is going to be like when we come back, usually we do like a giant season opener and there's like hordes and hordes of zombies and they're all crammed in spaces doing, tons of action. And so it's not going to be that kind of thing because we can't have 300 zombie extras and like people like faces smashed together with like mouths like all over the place. But the thing that's been really cool is I think we've had to think outside the box, like how to make things still feel really scary and really cool and really emotional while being a little more just cognizant of like how many people are in a scene. Like, are there ways to do this like where people are not like constantly like in each other's faces? So hopefully when the audience watches it, they won't really like feel the things we're doing. But if like you're really to like analyze like scene by scene, like, oh, hey, like where is that scene with like 300 zombie extras? Like that stuff won't be there. But, we've chosen to go in the other version of like the Walking Dead tradition, which is like dive really deeply into kind of like these really cool character stories. And I think that is also the Walking Dead. And so hopefully people will enjoy stuff like that. We've got definitely a story that I think a lot of comic book fans have been waiting for a long time. And I love the script. And so, we'll get to tease things in a different way. So there's limitations, but I think it's actually been a really fun creative challenge at the same time.
Yeah,
Very cool.
I'll just really quickly say that I've also read a couple of those scripts that are amazing. They're so good. So I think people are going to love them.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I hope so. We have some amazing directors, amazing actors. We just cast somebody that I think certainly those of us in this age range will be very excited about. And so, it'll be good.
Well, Andrew and Ian, you guys have started filming. Just what's it going to be like in terms of what we've seen on screen? Any differences, or how are you guys having to figure things out?
We were pretty fortunate in terms of not having to change the creative all that much because we were already kind of in this anthology storytelling mode where the scripts really were these kind of deep dives on 2 or 3 characters. So we've had to make some adjustments, and then, we're fortunate that, we've got Michael Satrazemis down in Austin, and he's come up with some clever ways to shoot the scenes that do have more people in them, where we're able to block them in ways that people don't all have to be on set at the same time, just to kind of ensure everyone's safety. But it's exciting to be back in production and see dailies coming in again.
Nice that you got Mikey off the surfboard. Real quickly, Matt and Scott, as you guys have been talking about World Beyond Season 2, have you guys had to shift anything in terms of your storytelling?
We're in the process of taking a look at some things, and we're in the fortunate place of being able to learn from what's working with you guys now that Fear, you guys are back up and running, and Angela, I know that Walking Dead's starting next week, I think. So so for us, it's like we still got a little bit of time, even though it's right around the corner. So we're kind of evaluating things as things are happening, and we're adjusting some of the story, but nothing that in a major way yet. We've broken the big chunk of the second season and just have a couple more left to work on. But yeah, we're going to take it as it comes, and we have some contingency plans in place should we have to scale back. But we'll see. Yeah.
Can't wait to see what all of you guys are doing. They're going to kick us out of here in a second, so I think it's time for us to wrap up. But guys, I just want to say, first off, don't forget to pick up your Walking Dead New York 2020 badges, with all profits going to the First Responders Children's Foundation. Cannot emphasize that enough. I want to thank our panel: Angela Kang, Andrew Chambliss, Ian Goldberg, Matt Negrete, Scott Gimple. Fear the Walking Dead and World Beyond will be airing this Sunday night on AMC, and The Walking Dead will return in the spring of 2021. Until then, please, everyone, stay safe, stay sane, and stay tuned right here to enjoy the rest of the Comic-Con Metaverse. All right, say goodbye, folks. Bye.
Bye.
See you guys.
We love Dalton
Thanks for watching. Dalton.
Ross.